The top reasons I have a slide saw instead of a traditional saw in my shop. Getting perfectly straight, long glue line cuts on live edge or crooked lumber. Like perfectly straight. And now to get it perfectly parallel, I'll just move my fence over and using the fence, cut on the other side of the blade. Now my last slide saw only had a 6-foot slide because I was in my garage and had space constraints, and now I've moved up to this 10-foot slide so that I can get full 10-foot cuts if I need to. And the next best thing is that I can easily load and cut sheet goods by myself. And I can place them on like this and do lengthwise cuts, or I can loosen this knob here and send that support out, and then I can turn the sheets and cut them the other way. And easily get precise, repeatable cuts using the slide instead of having to hold the sheet and try and fight it through the saw. When I had a more traditional table saw in my shop, I spent a lot of time, like most of you, making sleds and jigs to do a lot of the cuts that I was doing. And now with a slide saw like this, the majority of the sleds and jigs that I was trying to create are actually built into this. You've got fully adjustable flip-down stops for repeatable cuts and different panels and things that you're going to be processing. This front fence can move back and forth and set at different angles for repeatable miter cuts. You also have the advantage of how far back and forth the slide can go, as opposed to a sled on top of a table saw. Once you reach the front of that table saw and it comes off, you really only have that distance between the blade and the sled to make those cuts. So provided the pieces you're cutting are nice and small and all the work is happening right there, then it's fine. But if you have larger pieces that you're working on, then obviously something like this will really come in handy. You can also lock the slide and make it so that it doesn't move. All the way along here, there's all of these stops, and if you twist this knob right here, it'll go and slide into one of those, and now this won't move. And then you can use it just like a traditional saw in a case where you don't want the slide to move. Changing blades is also a lot more accessible. Instead of pulling the thing off the top and reaching down inside and pulling the nuts off, you just flip this panel down here, and you've got easy access to the nuts on both the blades. You swap them out real quick and fold that back in place, and you're back in business. On this Maxiwa saw, to tilt the blade, you just flip that down, and you've got a digital readout right here. And you can go winding your blade and changing the angle of your blade. Now right here, this is the handle that you use to raise and lower your blade, and these two here are for your scoring blade. One of them will raise the scoring blade up and down if you want to use it or not use it, and the other one will shift it back and forth. So you can line it up right behind the blade, or you can offset it to either side if you want. Now this also has a really nice big dust collection system on top of the blade, and if I want to swing it out of the way, I can loosen this knob right here and swing it out of the way if I'm doing something where this will get in the way. There's also a second dust collection port off the bottom of the saw. Now the fence that comes with this saw I also find pretty handy. You can loosen this handle here and pull the fence back and forth. The main times that I use that is when I'm doing a whole bunch of repeatable cuts and I'm using the saw for that. I take the fence from the front side and I put it here on the back. I can put the pieces that I'm cutting up on front, and I can set this at the distance that I need to make all these repeatable cuts at. So I'll come over, butt the board up against that, and then push through and make the cut. And because I can set this fence behind the blade, by the time it cuts and gets pushed through here, there's no risk of it binding because it's not pushing against the fence, which obviously makes it a whole lot safer. And it makes it real fast and easy just to push it over, cut it through, push it over, cut it through, push it over, cut it through, and get all your cuts done as quick as possible. And for adjusting the fence, you loosen off both these toggles here and it can move back and forth. You can get it close enough with this one and then tighten it down. And then here, before you push that one down, this allows you to do micro adjustments back and forth. So instead of beating it back and forth and trying to get it just right, this one allows you to make very precise movements, and then you can lock it, and now you're ready to go. And then on the right side of the blade, I've got a table that'll come all the way over to 48 inches. So for my one-man shop, I find a slide saw like this to be invaluable. Probably one of the biggest constraints is how much space they take up. Obviously, they take up quite a bit of square footage in your shop, and for mine now, I need a full 20 feet because it'll go 10 feet back and 10 feet forward. As I already mentioned before, when I was in my garage before, I had a much smaller version of a slide saw like this. It only had a 6-foot slide and was much smaller. In fact, I had it butted up against the wall, so the majority of the space on the right side of the blade was gone. I didn't use it that much, and I was mostly using it to square up wood and things like that. And so for me, a slide saw like this can do everything that a traditional saw can do, plus a whole lot more, and allow me to do it by myself. And in terms of Maxiwa as a brand of slide saw, so far I'm very happy with it. I got it shipped over, I set it up all by myself, and I've been using it now for about 3 or 4 months, and it's been awesome. I'm really happy with it.